So good evening, everyone. So we will be continuing with our yesterday's class regarding chemical reactions. We have 20 more bits to solve. So we will be having a class for first half an hour. After that, you'll have another subject. So your participation was great in previous classes. You were very attentive. I think the same way you will be participating in today's class also. I think I'm audible for everyone. So let us start. Few or two questions will be just a revision to for people who did not follow yesterday's class. After that, we will go to the new questions. So the question displayed on the screen is: a solution of potassium iodide reacts with lead nitrate to form first one potassium nitrate, lead iodide, or 1N2 or lead oxide. Which is the right option? Come on, guess. You can mention the option in the text box. Let us see who will give the right answer for this question. I already have you. Srutasya has mentioned it as 1 and 2. Remaining people still not active. Okay, let us check on this. That is, yeah, it's the right answer. Why? Because when a solution of potassium iodide reacts with a lead nitrate, that is potassium iodide, when it reacts with lead nitrate, so it will be a displacement reaction. So it forms potassium nitrate as well as lead iodide. Both are formed as products. Next question. A solution of sodium carbonate reacts with calcium hydroxide to give what? First option is calcium carbonate. Second option is sodium hydroxide. Third option is both 1 and 2. And fourth option is calcium oxide. Which is the right option? Let us see who will be answering. So Harshvardhan has mentioned it as option 3. Srutasya, not it. Okay, Srutasya is mentioning it as both option 1 and 2. So let us see which is the right option. Sorry. So the correct answer is both 1 and 2. Same way, just like before reaction. Here, sodium carbonate, Na2, CO3. This will react with calcium hydroxide. So when this happens, this sodium will form hydroxide, that is NaOH, and remaining part will be calcium carbonate, CaCO3, and 2NaOH is formed. So this is how it is displacing. Okay, the position of carbonate is displaced by hydrogen. The position of hydroxide is displaced by carbonate. So that is why calcium carbonate and sodium hydroxide both are formed in this reaction. Next question. When a small piece of zinc metal is added to solution of copper sulfate and on heating, the products which are formed are cupric oxide, zinc sulfate plus copper, zinc oxide, or hydrogen gas. Which is the right option? So now for the Josh is increasing. So many answers are coming for me. So Navtej has mentioned it as option 4. Shrutasya, Harshavardhan has mentioned it as option 2. Prem Charan has mentioned it as option 2. Kyaneshwar is mentioning it as option 2. Let us see which is the right answer. Yes, it is zinc sulfate plus copper. So whenever a small piece of zinc metal is added to solution of copper solution, that is copper sulfate solution, in such cases, you will liberate zinc sulfate as displacement. Here copper is displaced by zinc metal, that is zinc sulfate, and copper is liberated freely. That is the combination of zinc sulfate and copper is the answer. So whoever has done it correct got full marks. Next question. The gas liberated when zinc carbonate decomposes is. So when zinc carbonate, that is ZnCO3, when that ZnCO3 is decomposed, which is the possible gas that can be formed? First one, chlorine. Second one, carbon dioxide. Third one is nitrous oxide. Fourth one is hydrogen. So which is the right option? Let us see who has responded for this. Premcharan has mentioned it as carbon dioxide. Harshavardhan, carbon dioxide. Srutasya has mentioned it as carbon dioxide. Gyaneshwar has mentioned it as carbon dioxide. Majority has mentioned it as carbon dioxide. That is the right answer. Why? Because this will be decomposed into zinc metal and carbon dioxide. Okay, since three are there, how to balance this equation? If you do it as 3CO2 and instead of if you put it as 2 ZnCO3, then carbon dioxide is balanced. The oxygens are balanced on both the side. Now you have to balance zinc, that is 2Zn. So if you see the reaction, this is how it is balanced. 3 moles of carbon dioxide are liberated in this reaction. So whoever has answered it is perfect. Next question. Zinc displaces the following gas from sulfuric acid. So if you consider sulfuric acid, H2SO4, and I am reacting zinc metal with this. So what is the possible displacement? Which gas is displaced by zinc? Hydrogen, nitrous oxide, carbon dioxide, or oxygen? Which is the right option? Let us see who will do it perfectly. Strutasya has mentioned it as hydrogen. Harshavardhan has mentioned it as option 3. Premcharan, hydrogen. Navtej, option 4. Sania has mentioned it as option 2. Pranita as option 2. So most of you are going with option 2. I don't know from where the scope of carbon dioxide is coming in this reaction. Let us see which is the right option. Sorry. So the option is hydrogen. See here, only possibility of gas in the whole reaction is hydrogen only, no? Where carbon dioxide has come from? So when you see these type of questions, first of all, observe the type of atoms which are there in the reaction. They have told sulfuric acid, H2SO4 is the formula. The possibility of H2SO4 to split up is H plus and SO4 minus, sulfate ion and hydrogen ion. So hydrogen only is a possible gas, no, in the total reaction. So from where carbon dioxide has come? So people who has mentioned it as option 2 should rethink how you are solving the problems of chemical reactions. Okay. Always check for the type of atoms which are present in the reaction which is given. So when you look at the type of atoms, you will get a proper idea how it can ionize, how the ions are formed. Once proper ionization is done, if you are writing it like that, so it is easy for you to identify the gas. So those who have answered are very good. Next question. A chemical equation should be balanced because of the law dash should be verified. Which law should be verified? I think we have done this question yesterday also. We will just do a revision. So first one is law of constant proportions. Second one is law of conservation of mass. Third one is law of equality. And fourth one is law of balance. Which is the right option? This is very easy. I expect right answer from everyone. It is, okay, Navtej is telling it as option 4. Premchand has mentioned it as option like conservation of mass. Sania, conservation of mass. Harshavardhan, option 2. Gyaneshwar, option 3. Strutasya, option 2. Okay, so I think majority are going with the right direction. That is option 2. Law of conservation of mass, law of conservation of mass. This is very much related with balancing equations. I am repeating again and again, but that constant perfection you have to get regarding this law. What does this law mean? It means that atoms or molecules can neither be created, they cannot be created. That is, mass cannot be created. They can not be created. They cannot be destroyed. They cannot be destroyed. So only possibility is changing of forms. How the changing of forms are happening here? Reactants is one form. It is changing as a products form. So the change here is from reactants to products. So how this change is governed? How many moles of reactants are there? Same amount of moles should be there in the product side also. If there is any change, you have created one extra atom in the product, it is not balanced, the equation is not balanced, or the chemical equation is not written perfectly, then the law itself will not be justified. So you should always justify the law of conservation of mass when it comes to a chemical reaction equation. Next question. Carbon plus oxygen gives rise to carbon dioxide plus Q. Here Q is what? Endothermic reaction, chemical reaction, exothermic reaction, or photochemical reaction. Which is your option? Let us see who will answer this. Harshavardhan is mentioning it as option 3. Prem Charan option 3. Meenakshi option 3. Okay, majority is telling it's option 3. Yes, it is exothermic reaction. So when carbon reacts with oxygen, but just after the formation of carbon dioxide, there is a heat of enthalpy which is releasing, okay, represented by a delta. So this is called as exothermic reaction, okay. Calcium hydroxide plus carbon dioxide gives rise to calcium carbonate plus water. In this reaction, shiny finish to walls is due to what? First one, calcium hydroxide, calcium carbonate, carbon dioxide, and water. Which is the right option in this? Option 2. Srutasya mentioning it as option 2. Harshavardhan, option 1. So let us see. It is calcium carbonate. Calcium carbonate will give the shiny finish to the walls. It is the property of calcium carbonate. So that is the reason. The walls of the container in which the reaction is occurring is little shiny finished. The enzymes responsible for color change of cut apples. I think we have done this question yesterday also. Which two enzymes or which enzyme is actually responsible for browning of the apples and bananas on cutting? Let us see who has. It is option 2 by Ganesh. Harsha is mentioning it as option 3. Srutasya mentioned it as option 3. Meenakshi mentioned it as option 3. So let us see which is the right answer. Okay. So for polyphenol oxidase and tyrosinase. So simply how you can remember this bit, I'll tell you it. Any enzyme, okay, when you are considering the name of any enzyme, will always end with ASE suffix. Suffix of an enzyme is always ASE most of the time. Okay. So sometimes it is like pepsin or renin, if you call the digestive enzymes, they are not ending with ASE, but most of the enzymes will end with the suffix ASE. Tylen, when you consider here, this is a growth hormone of plant. It is not a, it is something related to growth of plants. It is not an enzyme. So here polyphenol oxidase and tyrosinase are the two wonderful enzymes ending with ASE, and they are responsible for oxidation of these fruits. So because of that, the browning color or the brown color is obtained. I think now you got the clarity regarding this question. Next question. Rusting of iron is example of dash reaction. Which type of reaction causes rusting of iron? First one, rancid action. Second one, reduction. Third option is corrosion. Fourth option is oxidation. Which is the right option? So, why rusting of iron is taking place? Rancid action by someone. Sutasya has mentioned it as option 4. So, rusting of iron is nothing but oxidation of iron. When oxidation of iron is there, when loss of electrons by iron is there, it causes rust, which appears to be reddish brown in color. Okay, so this is not a rancidification reaction. Don't confuse between rancidification and oxidation. Rancidification is also oxidation, but it occurs mostly in oils, greases, and waxes. Okay, only these products will show the property called as rancidification. Why? Because they are accompanying oxidation with a foul smell. characteristic smell. Okay, you'll get a characteristic smell when oil is put for long time. There is a characteristic pungent smell from the oil. Your mothers will identify when they're using the cooking oil. Okay, that is because of the rancidification. Normal oxidation need not be accompanied by smell all the time. Color change or any other physical property will be changed because of the oxidation. But when it is a smell, most probably, then it is called as rancidification. So people who has mentioned it as option 1 should note this point. So here iron is always rusted because of oxidation reaction. Next question. Metallic substance which is made by mixing or fusing two or more metals or non-metals is known as, I think this also we have discussed yesterday. The answer is alloy. Okay. When it's a mixture of metals, it is called as alloy. Next question. Rancidity can be prevented by adding antioxidants. This one also we have done. So just by I have already mentioned that rancidification is nothing but oxidation in brief. So if you add an antioxidant that works against oxidation reaction and that will prevent rancidification. This question. So how many moles of carbon dioxide are formed? Here also we have done yesterday, that is 6 moles of carbon dioxide are formed to just do the balanced equation. So here the possibility is CO2 in presence of Q. Since 6 carbons are there, definitely there will be 6 moles of CO2, that is carbon dioxide. So 6 CO2 is the answer. Next question. Alloy gives dash to the metal. Hardness, lightness, strength. All the properties are given by alloy to the metal. Example of an alloy, this also we have done. Brass, steel, bronze, all of the above, all the three are alloys of metals. They are formed by mixture of the metals. In absence of dash, the development of rancidity is retarded. So which is the main factor which causes rancidification? Light is the main factor which causes the rancidification. If light is not there, it will be retarded. Bleaching of colored objects can be done by using moist chlorine. So most probably moist chlorine is the element which is used to do the bleaching. Flash bags of chips are filled with nitrogen gas, okay, for cutting off the oxygen and making it stable. The method of protecting iron from rusting by coating a thin layer of zinc. This is the new question. So tell me, what is this answer? The method of protecting iron from rusting by coating thin layer of zinc. So if you are adding a thin layer of zinc to prevent rusting of iron, then what is the process called as? So Srutasya has mentioned it as galvanizing. Let us see what Meenakshi is mentioning it as option 4. Navtej, option 3. So I think Srutasya is correct. It is called as galvanizing of iron. Galvanizing means when you are taking iron and coating zinc on that. So this will prevent oxidation. Prevent oxidation or series of free radical reaction which is happening. So if you are cutting off that type of reaction, definitely you can prevent iron from rusting. That is the purpose. Next question. Color of silver bromide is, what is the color of silver bromide? Red color, silver color, light yellow or brown? Let us see who will answer this question. What is the color of silver bromide, guys? No idea. So light yellow is the color of silver bromide. Silver bromide, just by looking at the name, don't put silver as the right answer. So silver bromide will be light yellow in color. When iron nail dipped in copper sulfate solution and left undisturbed for some time, iron nail becomes brown due to formation of what? ఒక ఐరన్ తాలూకు మేకుని తీసుకొని కాపర్ సల్ఫేట్ సొల్యూషన్లో మనం పెడితే దాన్ని డిస్టర్బ్ చేయకుండా కొంచెం సేపు వదిలేస్తే ఐరన్ మేకు బ్రౌన్ కలర్లోకి ఫామ్ అవుతుంది. ఎందుకు? ఏ ఫార్మేషన్ వల్ల? ఫెరిక్ సల్ఫేట్, ఫెరిక్ ఆక్సైడ్, సల్ఫర్ డయాక్సైడ్, ఫెరస్ సల్ఫేట్. Which is the right option? Let us see who will do it. Srutasya is thinking it is option 1. Meenakshi, option 1. Prem Charan, ferrous sulfate, that is option 1. Let us see which is the right answer. Yes. So since it is copper sulfate, iron is displacing copper here to form the ferrous sulfate. Because of its formation, it is turning brown in color. Chlorine plus water gives rise to what plus HCl? What is this? Black water, HOCl, HCl, or OH. So which is formed? Let us see who will answer this question. No answers. So HOCl is the element, which compound which is formed here. Okay. Yes, Harshavardhan has mentioned it as option 2, that which is correct. So HOCl is a compound which is also formed with HCl. Next question. How many moles are there in 22 grams of carbon dioxide? So if you are considering 22 grams of carbon dioxide, how many moles are there in it? Who will solve this question? Gyaneshwar has mentioned it as option 2. Srutasya has mentioned it as option 4. So before knowing the answer, we will try to solve this question so that for people who couldn't answer, it will be an idea. So how to solve these type of questions? So let us calculate the molar mass of carbon dioxide. So if you are calculating molar mass of carbon dioxide, carbon's mass number is 12, oxygen's is 16. Since two oxygens are there here, it is 32. So when you are adding 12 plus 32, what is the total value? What is the total molar mass? It is 44 grams per. This is the molar mass of carbon dioxide. So now, how to calculate the number of moles? What is the formula for calculating number of moles? Number of moles is equal to given mass divided by molar mass. So what is the mass given here? It is 22. So if you are dividing 22, sorry. So if you are dividing 22 by the mass which we have calculated, that is 44. What will be your answer? It will be 1 by 2. So 1 by 2 can be written as 0.5. So option 4 is correct. So Srutasya has done it perfect. So if you have guessed it, it is okay. But if you have done this calculation, very good, ma. So you are following very well. So remaining people who have mentioned it is 0.5 are also correct. So let us go for the next question. 48 liters of carbon dioxide at standard temperature and pressure. So when you are taking 48 liters of carbon dioxide at standard temperature and pressure is obtained by heating X grams of calcium carbonate, then X is. So let us see who will answer this question. Try to answer. After that, we will do this sum also. Any answers? Harshavardhan mentioned it as option 4. Okay, most of you are mentioning it as option 4. So let us do the sum. So here the problem is 4.48 liters of carbon dioxide at standard temperature and pressure. So at STP 22.4 liters of gas is generally equal to 1 mole. So generally, this is the general indication. Standard temperature and pressure low 22.4 liters of any gas is equal to 1 mole. సో ఇప్పుడు మనం 4.48 లీటర్స్కి క్యాలిక్యులేట్ చేయాలి. 4.48 లీటర్స్కి ఎలా అవుతుంది యూనిటరీ మెథడ్ ప్రకారం? 4.48 బై 22.4 దట్ ఈస్ ఈక్వల్ టు 0.2 మోల్స్. ఓకే, 0.2 మోల్స్. సో ఇక్కడ మనం రియాక్షన్ అబ్జర్వ్ చేస్తే కాల్షియం కార్బోనేట్ అనేది డీకంపోజ్ అవుతుంది. ఎలాగా? కాల్షియం ఆక్సైడ్ కింద, కార్బన్ డైఆక్సైడ్ కింద. So 1 mole of calcium carbonate will give 1 mole of carbon dioxide. 1 mole of carbon dioxide. So ఇలా ఉన్నప్పుడు molar mass of calcium carbonate is equal to molar mass calcium carbonate is equal to 100 gram per mole. So this is the molar mass of, if you calculate, you will get the answer as 100 grams. So required mass is equal to 0.2, that is the number of moles into the molar mass, that is equal to 20 grams. So the answer is 20 grams. Let us see whether our answer is correct or not. Yes. So ఈ sum అందరికి అర్థమైందా? So if you have understood, please give a thumbs up, or else I will repeat how to do this. సో ఈ క్వశ్చన్ ఎలా సాల్వ్ చేసామంటే, ఒక స్టాండర్డ్ కండిషన్ ని మనం తీసుకున్నాం. స్టాండర్డ్ కండిషన్ ఆఫ్ టెంపరేచర్ అండ్ ప్రెషర్ లో 22.4 liters of a gas is indicated as 1 mole. So if you are calculating 4.48 liters, then how to calculate the number of moles? So 4.48 by 22.4 into 1, that is 0.2 moles. So calcium carbonate, calcium oxide కింద కార్బన్ డైఆక్సైడ్ కింద డీకంపోజ్ అవుతుంది. ఇలా డీకంపోజ్ అయినప్పుడు మీకు వచ్చేది ఏంటి? 1 mole ఆఫ్ కాల్షియం కార్బోనేట్ ఎలా డీకంపోజ్ అవుతుంది? 1 mole ఆఫ్ కార్బన్ డైఆక్సైడ్ కింద డీకంపోజ్ అవుతుంది. సో రిక్వైర్డ్ మాస్ ఎలా క్యాలిక్యులేట్ చేస్తాం? ఫస్ట్ మోలార్ మాస్ ఆఫ్ ఇది CaCO3 100 ఎలా వచ్చింది? కాల్షియం మాస్ నెంబర్ ప్లస్ 12 ప్లస్ ఆక్సిజన్ 16 into 3, you get 35.5. సో కాల్షియం 40 అనుకుంటాం. సో 40 ప్లస్ 12 ప్లస్ 16 3s, సో టోటల్ యాడ్ చేస్తే మీకు 100 వస్తుంది. సో ఇది 0.2 into 100 చేస్తే యూ విల్ గెట్ 20. ఓకే, సో దిస్ ఇస్ ద క్వశ్చన్. సో విత్ దట్ we have completed our chemical reactions. So every one of you have very well participated in all the questions, and you have solved many questions also. So the same active participation in GEAL is required for all the classes, so that we will be discussing more and more bits in further classes when opportunity is given. Thank you so much everyone for your patient hearing. You all stay on the same link. There will be another class followed by this one. Okay. So over to Smriti ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Kindly hold on the same link, students.
Yeah. Very good evening, students. Hope you all enjoyed your science class. And let's do mathematics. Just give me a second. I'll quickly share the PPT. Yeah. Right. So let's start with the real numbers. Yet another very interesting topic. So yesterday you all would have tried with the coordinate geometry, and you would have done or repeated the sums that we did it in the class. So today we are going to do real numbers. All right. So when we talk about real numbers, right? So what are real numbers? in that we have to learn what is rational numbers, what is irrational numbers, and followed by the rational numbers, we have to see what is terminating decimals and what is recurring decimals. So if you have any doubts, you can quickly note down what is being repeated here so that this will help you while solving the sums. All right, now what are rational numbers? So rational numbers are those numbers which can be written in the form of P by Q form, which means numerator and denominator. All right. So where both P comma Q are integers and Q is not equal to 0. What happens if Q is equal to 0? Then it becomes infinity, isn't it? So then what happens? We cannot proceed with the sum, right? So rational numbers are those numbers which can be written in the P by Q form, which means that numerator and denominator form, and your denominator must not be equal to 0. All right. So example is 2 by 3, 1 minus 1 by 3, 3 by minus 5, etc. Where P and Q are integers. All right. Now, every rational number can be expressed either as a terminating decimal or as a non-terminating recurring decimal. So what do you mean by terminating decimal means? It's like 1.234, 1.546, 1.895, 1.2, 1.34. So where after the decimal, the numbers are again not getting repeated. But when we talk about the recurring decimals, so here you can see the example that is being given here, 1.23, 23, 23, and so on. See, this 23 is being repeated. It keeps recurring again and again. So like it goes till infinity times. Isn't it like that? 1.567, 567, 567. So it goes till infinity level. All right? Yes. Now, we learned about the rational numbers. And next we are going to see what is irrational number or what are irrational numbers. Numbers which cannot be written in the form of P by Q. They are called as irrational numbers. All right. So it's very simple. Any numbers that can be written in the form of P by Q, we call it as rational numbers. And those numbers which cannot be written in P by Q form, they are coming under the irrational numbers. Like all surds, like root 3, root 5, pi, e, the base of natural logarithm, etc. All right? Yes. Fine. Now let us take a test. Type your answers in the chat box. So you can take 1 minute, not more than that.